Hello everyone, this is Manoj. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'll talk and discuss about how we can achieve login functionality in Web API project. So let's create a Web API project first. I'm using Visual Studio 2019. You can use any version of Visual Studio which will support Web API. So create a new project and we'll give a name and select a location where we want to store our new web API project. Meanwhile, it is opening the templates. Let's go to the SQL Server because we will need a database and a table to store user credentials. So we'll create a database and a table. So here are the templates. So let's go to ASP.NET Web API. Here it is. Select the template, click on next. Then it will ask the project name. So let's say login web API and location. I will store the project in this particular folder. So browse and then select folder. Click on create. So it will create a project. So let's go back. Okay. So web API is selected. MVC and web API. Click on create. So we are in SQL Server. Let's connect. Now click on new query. Now let's create a new database. So create database. Let's say test web API F5, and now let's use this. Use web the database name and click F5. Now let's create a new table. So create table users. It will contain three columns. The first one is ID, type of integer. Let's create it auto increment. So int identity 1 comma 1 and also make it primary key, and then username of varchar type and a password of varchar type. Select the command, hit F5. Command has been created successfully. Let's try to run select star from users. So no row is there. So let's insert some data. Insert into users values. Let's say admin and 123. So we have a single row containing admin and 123 as username and password. Perfect. Go back to Visual Studio. So as you can see, this is the default folder structure of MVC or a web API project. So we'll get references, we'll get app start. So in this folder, we'll get our config files. We have areas, we have content which will contain all the CSS files, controllers. By default, we'll get two controller. Home, this is the MVC controller, and values, this is the API controller. Font, model, blank folder, script, it will contain all the script. By default, we'll get Bootstrap and jQuery pre-installed, and views, it will contain all the HTML part. All right, so let's try to run this project first. So for the first time, it will take some time. So you can see localhost colon 44370. So this is our default URL for our project. If you want to expose this your API to someone else, let's say to your any mobile app developer, so you can introduce this URL. Of course, after this you will include your method names. All right, it could be your MVC method name or it could be your web API name. But the initial URL is this localhost 44370. All right. So you can see this is the default ASP.NET MVC or web API interface. So let's close this. Now in the Visual Studio, the very first step is go to models folder, right click and add a class and give it name login, add. So in this class, we will create two properties similar to the fields. So in the class, to create a property, we have a shortcut, write prop and then tab. So it will create a property. So in our case, we will have two properties, both are string type. So again, prop, enter, string, then enter password. So our class is ready with the two properties, username and password. Now go to web.config. We need to create a web config which will enable us to create a bridge between front end and back end. So after the configuration, let's add connection string tag, and inside this add name property. So for this, let's add name web API con and connection string. The first property name should be server, and go to your SQL Server, Object Explorer, click on Connect, Database Engine. So this is your server name, all right? So in my case, it is desktop hyphen my computer name and slash SQL Express. Maybe in your case, it would be different. So copy this and paste it over here. The next one is database. So in our case, we created test web API, and as you can see, I'm in Windows authentication mode, so there is no need to give username and password. But if you will connect with SQL mode, SQL Server authentication, then you will need to give username and password. So now I only need to give integrated security as true. That's it. So we are done with our connection string. Now go to Solution Explorer. Again in the models folder, now we need to create a method class which will be called DAL, Data Access Layer. This class will communicate with the database part. First of all, we will need some namespaces. So system dot data, and the second one is system dot data dot SQL client. Now in the class, let's create a SQL connection property equal new SQL connection, and here we will use configuration manager. So we didn't we didn't import the namespace, so that is what is showing error. So for that, you just need to press Control dot. So it will show you all the intelligence. So for this particular keyword, we will use system dot configuration namespace. So it will auto import it. So configuration manager dot connection string, and inside the brackets you will need to give the name property from your connection string, bracket close, and then connection string. So we are done with our connection, and let's import SQL data adapter equal new data adapter. We will also require data table, so data table dt equal new data table. Now let's create a method. So public string, let's give name, the method name is login, and it will take the login class. So login. Don't confuse with the name and the class name. Let me change it. Maybe you will get confused. I'm sure you will not, but still, let me change the method name. So this is a method name and this is the class which we just created containing two properties. So now in the dial class, so DA equal new data adapter. Don't initial over here. Here we will give the same command which we used here. Select star from user where username and password is this. See, for this video, I'm simply writing the inline query, but this is not the best approach. Either you should use the entity framework or either you should use the stored procedures, all right? But just for your reference, for this particular video, I'm using the inline query, all right? Where username equal login dot username and password equal login dot password and the connection. So our adapter command is ready. Oops. After the command, dt equal new data table and da dot fill dt, and it's also initialize at null. So now we will check if dt dot rows dot count greater than 0, then we will return a message, return logged in, else we will return login failed. So if this command gets executed and it will contain some data, then we will return a message with logged in, else login failed. So with the DAL, we are done with our part. Now again go to models folder and create another class. It will called BAL business access layer. So basically this class is a bridge between the front end and the data access layer. So here also we will create a simple method, public string get login with login class, and it will also simply return uh, dial equal new dial and string response equal dial dot get login, and we will pass our login class object over here and return response. So we are done with our business access layer. Now we will go to our controller part. Let me show you both the controllers. So as you can see, this is home controller. This is MVC type of controller because it is inherited from the controller class. As you can see in the IntelliSense, it will say system.web.mvc.controller. And if you go to values controller, then you can simply say it is inherited from API controller. So here, these are the pre-built or pre-created API methods, but I'll create a separate one or a new one for your better understanding. Public string get login. It will also use login class. It is showing error because we didn't import the model or namespace. So click on this, simply using models. So it will auto import your namespace. Now simply create a bal object, bal equal new bal, and string response equal bal dot get login, and pass object login. Simply return response. This method would be a HTTP post method because we will post our data from front end. And also let's give a route. So route, and inside this it will be called as API values slash login, or copy simply get login. As you can see, by the predefined methods, you will call delete by API values and 5. So if you create a delete method, so it will automatically delete with the record having ID 5. So same way, if you want to call this method, so we will use this route API values and get login. Obviously, before this API, we will use our default URL as I show in the Chrome browser, like localhost colon 44370. All right. So from the C# part, we are done. Now let's create a JavaScript file so that we will call our HTML form from the JavaScript, and then we'll land to our method. Now go to scripts folder and create a new file, or the better approach is create a new folder and give it a name page scripts, and inside this add JavaScript file. I'm giving it name index. All right. So now simply where get login equal function. I'm giving the same name because it will be identical. Like you or everybody else can simply understand that this particular method is having this much process throughout all the classes, like from the controller part, from the bell, from the del, all right, from the login. So this is only for get login. So that is why we should give a meaningful name to every approach. You can give any name, but by like whenever anybody will see get login, so they will assume this is only for get login. So in that method, let's create where email equal. So as of now, let me give a blank name because we will put here the HTML form IDs, not email. Let's say username, and where password equal again blank. Or let me give it right now. So by the jQuery, we will use dollar single quote hash and the field name. So for our case, I'll give txt username dot well. Same way, we will use txt password. So now by using these two properties, we get our username and password value. Now where URL, the URL should be API slash values and get login. As you can see, this is the exact route name which we provided in our values folder. Sorry, values controller. All right. Again, go back to JS file, and now where data equal, we will stringify our data. So JSON dot stringify, and inside this username is username and password is password. So we are done with our data. After now, we will create our Ajax call. So dollar dot Ajax. So the first property is type. What kind of type of this request is? So in our case, it would be our post request. After that, what kind of data it will contain? So data property, in our case, this is the data. So copy and paste. Let me also change it to make it more clear for you. Third one is URL. Let me also give it a different name, login URL, and then content type. In our case, we will use application slash JSON because we have converted our data into JSON format. So JSON and char equal UTF hyphen 8. So this is our content type and data type is JSON. And now we will create two methods. First one is success. So in success, we will simply return whatever we get from our C# part. So let's alert result and same way, let me copy this. If we get any error, so we will simply alert the error as well. So we are done with our JS part. Now go to your views and in the home we already have a HTML. So click on it, select all, delete. So just to save time, I have already created the HTML file. I'll explain what is inside this. So it is simply a div containing, let me remove this. This is for registration. So this is simply form containing two divs and a form tag, and one is for username, one is for password. All right. So let me change the name as per the JS file. So copy, paste, and password, copy and paste. Save. And in our case, we have a method. So on click, we will return get login. Save. Now, remove this and go to our script folder and drag drop your index file over here. So save and correct. Now go to your content folder and create a new file, CSS file. Okay. CSS style sheet. Give it name style. click on add, and now this is the style. Let's copy and paste. You don't need to worry about this code because I'll provide a GitHub repository link for this project, so you can simply go and clone this project. So you'll get each and everything, so don't worry about that. Now in the index folder, we already have this style. Let me remove and drag drop just to make sure we imported the right file. So save. So now we have done with our index file, with the JS file, with the style, with the C# part, and also the SQL part. So now let's put a breakpoint over here on our method and try to, there is one step left. We need to go to view start. We need to put null over here, otherwise it will always take the existing CSS. All right. So now the layout should be blank, and whatever we have given in index file, it will be displayed on browser. So now try to run this project. As you can see, our login page has been rendered, and I have already given two values, admin and 123. All right. So if I try to click on login, so nothing happened. Let's see. If we go to our Visual Studio, so you can see we have landed to our API controller, and if I hover over on this login object, so you will see both the values are coming from the front end. The password is 123 and username is admin. If I click on continue, so nothing happened. Let's try to debug this. So click on F12, and in the sources, go to your script file, page script, and index. This is also, you can debug your jQuery part. So click on success also in the alert and here. So let me remove these values so that we will give it from the front end. Delete, delete, save, and now hard refresh. Okay, the username should be admin and password is 123. Click on login. Okay, if you see the login data, so username is admin, password is 123. All right, click on continue. So now go to Visual Studio Code, click on F10, response, again click on F11. So now F10, and then once the moment you come to response, click on F11. So it will put you in the dial file. So now F10. So you can see if you view the DT, the data table, so you will see one row because our records has been matched with the database values. So now go back. So from the controller, we are getting message logged in. All right, the functions are working. Click on continue. So if I give admin 123, so we got a message logged in. And let's say if I provide any invalid credential, let's say click on login. So we are getting message login failed. So this is how you can create your login functionality in Web API project. So this is about today's video. I hope you like it. If you did so, hit the like button, share, comment, and if you have any kind of question, any kind of concern regarding .NET, React.js, JavaScript, so you can connect with me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is openprogrammer. So I'll connect many students on my Instagram handle on daily basis. So feel free to contact me. Even you can follow me on my Facebook. Like my Facebook is facebook.com/manojdeshwal. So you can also connect me on Messenger. So I'm ready to help and answer you regarding your any query. So I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.